I'm Eric Keating, the head of marketing at Appcues, and I'm here today to talk about a framework for product-led growth. And thinking strategically about how you can use this model to grow your business. As product really transitions from this supporting role to more of a lead actor, companies are transforming the way that they communicate with their users, the way they nurture them, and how they understand their behavior. There's a huge change in the world happening, which is users are, the way they want to buy and use software has changed dramatically, and we need to respond. That's why we're all here today. So, leading with the product versus sales or marketing, it means the product experience begins earlier and plays a much larger role in the user journey as a whole. And that means you need a new framework for the way that you think about growth and product-led growth in particular. And that's why we're going to talk about today the Product-Led Growth Flywheel. So Flywheel is a framework that you can use as you develop a strategy around a product-led approach. First, just a bit about how we made it. So we interviewed 50 to 100 companies, all from the SMB all the way up to enterprise businesses, predominantly SaaS models. And we worked with them to both create and validate the model and jointly develop this product-led growth flywheel. In talking to all of them, we found a really consistent pattern. It's that companies are beginning to refocus their efforts on improving the end user experience through their products. And this can be felt really across every functional area of the business. Top performers are rethinking their approach to sales, marketing, service, all in an effort to meet today's new user expectations and deliver that high quality, mostly self-service touch point at scale. And it's all, like I said, typically happening for the product itself. So the companies we talk to are also becoming smarter about how they segment their users. They're more thoughtful and analytical about the goals their users are trying to achieve at each stage and how they're going to support those goals throughout that user journey as a whole. So let's explore the flywheel itself. So here we have the inner wheel. The inner wheel describes 4 sequential user segments that correlate with stages in the user journey, from awareness to evangelism. And what we call those are evaluators, beginners, regulars, and champions. The outer part of the flywheel corresponds with key actions that users need to take to graduate to the next stage. So we call those activate, adopt, adore, and advocate. So let's begin with the evaluators. So evaluators are really, they're just browsing, right? They're users that are cautiously excited about your product as a solution to their problem. And whether they were compelled by marketing or heard great things from about your product from a current user, they're here to realize value that they were promised during that process. If you have a free trial, freemium tier, or even a low-cost monthly plan, they're probably evaluating a variety of solutions, including your competitors. So evaluators are typically in a trial or demo phase, right? They've just started playing around with your product. If this is applicable to your product, they're not installed or using real data. So you might have a environment where you can create an account and there's some dummy data, or it's an empty state. They're not using your product in their current workflows, obviously, yet. And they're still searching for a solution to a problem that they're trying to solve. Evaluators want to know that you understand their problem and that you can offer them a clear path to solving it. They don't care about the nuances of your product or a wide range of use cases that you can address. They're solely focused on how you can relate to their most pressing needs, right? That reason why they signed up in the first place. They're gauging the trade-offs between your product, those of your competitors, and even possible internal solutions, right? Not everybody ends up purchasing a third-party software to solve their problem. Oftentimes people do end up building things in-house. There are trade-offs there too. Right? So, when they're thinking through this process, ease of use, core functionality, unique features, those are all at the forefront of these users' minds. So evaluators, they're searching for value, but in this phase, it's particularly important that it's not hard for them to find it. So to deliver that value to the evaluators, you need to guide them to their aha moment. So let evaluators experience your product in action and get a basic understanding of its core functionality. Don't drag them through an exhaustive tour of every single feature. Assume they're starting with zero knowledge, but they have firm goals in mind. Use your onboarding experience in your product to gather information about the goals that they have, and then selectively guide those users toward the features that are going to help them achieve those goals and to realize the value of your product. Remember that evaluators need a map to initial success, not an advanced user manual or tutorial. If they want to dive deeper on specific functionality, be ready to help them. You can use in-product support, opt-in walkthroughs, user-friendly help center, but don't overwhelm them with all this information at once. Make sure they don't get buried in the details of your product and that they stay focused on solving that initial value or that initial problem, finding that value that they're looking for when they came to you in the first place. So the goal really is to guide evaluators to value and get them to activate. And that's that aha moment that I mentioned. So what does activation look like? So it's different for every company, but at its core, activation is a feeling that the user experiences. It's a moment of relief or excitement when a user discovers a solution to their problem. That's the point when they're literally saying, aha, right? So instead, So entering a credit card or signing a purchase order is not a prerequisite for activating. In fact, companies can have a lot of users who purchase but don't activate. You'll likely see them listed as probably churned accounts a few months later if you're on a monthly model. Instead, activation happens when a user sees your product value, has that critical aha moment, and experiences this moment of buy-in, right? They're in. Activated users want to learn more, and they're willing to invest time and energy into a product because they've seen that it can be an asset in their professional life or personal life. So to help your evaluators activate, you need to identify the in-product actions that users experience as aha moments and which trigger that activation. Identifying activation events can be done by analyzing product usage data, user testing, and interviewing customers, right? Find out, talk to them. We don't do that enough. Once you've identified the activation events within your product, your goal should be to help your users get to that value quickly and minimize the time it takes them to get there. So next up, we'll talk about beginners. So beginners understand how your product can meet their needs and deliver value, and they're excited about it. And due to this excitement, they're spending more time with your product and exploring its features and the functionality of your product at a deeper level. They may or may not be paying customers yet, but they're mentally prepared to make that leap now that they've experienced the value that your product delivers. So beginners are usually focused on incorporating your product into their workflows. They're starting to use real data, receiving tangible value. They're not using advanced functionality or implementing sophisticated use cases yet, right? They're still getting up and running. And they're at this moment feeling pretty confident your product's the best solution to solve their problem. They're starting to demonstrate signs of commitment. They're eager to learn more and discover additional benefits beyond the initial ones they immediately realize. And they may be trying to figure out how to incorporate your product into their current workflow and tech stack. Right? This is the point when that becomes real for them. They're starting to evaluate edge cases and identify workarounds for small issues that arise or small pain points. And it won't be long before they start thinking about seeing results in ROI. These are the folks who are most likely interested in your best practices recommendations. Right? Beginners want to know how to use your product effectively, not just what they learned in the initial stage, but how to really become great users of your product. And as a result, they'll likely benefit from some extra support during this stage, some extra guidance, tours, etc. To deliver the beginner's value, remember that they're trying to get stuff done. Right? Give them the freedom to do what they need to do, but remember that they're still learning and they're sensitive to blockers. So you want to be reducing any possible friction by making that extra guidance available and easy to access. Beginners should be successfully completing key tasks with minimal friction and exploring your product's range of functionality. During this stage, you should focus on helping users build on the foundational knowledge that they achieved as evaluators. Discover additional benefits and features that may address secondary problems or make their workflow more efficient, and generally connect the dots between your products and their day-to-day. The goal here is to get users to fully adopt your product through habitual, more advanced usage. Which leads us to adopt. So adoption here. Adoption is about forming habits and getting users to activate, to associate your product with a specific task or solution. Users who have adopted your product, they don't put a lot of thought in deciding to use your product regularly. They just use it. Take Slack, for example. If you've adopted Slack and you want to communicate with a teammate, you naturally send them a message in Slack, even though you could communicate with them by text, email, phone. You're just thinking, I need to send a message, not that I need to use Slack right now. And that's a beautiful, beautiful thing. Product adoption really means full buy-in. It's when a user really understands the power of the product and depends on it regularly. Which brings us to regulars. So once a user's adopted your products, they're considered a regular. Regular users are the bread and butter of your user base. If your product was a coffee shop, these are the folks that have a usual order. They carry a half-punch loyalty card. They know where the straws and the stirs are kept. They log in frequently. They rely on your product for multiple use cases. They may not always get excited about using your product, but it's become key to achieving their goals. It's part of their routine. And switching to another solution would be costly. They've already invested the time, effort, data, etc. They've developed a habit around it, and changing that habit is hard. And that's good for you. Regulars have really mastered the core use cases, and they're curious about other problems your product can solve. They're very familiar with your interface. And they're unlikely to need a lot of regular support. Just remember that any changes in your product can cause friction and disrupt their workflows. So, regulars are usually, as I mentioned, they're logging in on a regular basis, using your product to complete core parts of their job, defaulting your product as a possible solution when new problems arise, and exploring deeper layers of your product to see what else your product can help them do. They want to enjoy using your products. They use it frequently, after all, and they're easily frustrated by friction. Since your product's fully integrated with their workflows, there's tangible business impact for these users when something in your product breaks. Regulars are also the most likely to be disturbed by a redesign, since it disrupts their routine, as I mentioned. So these users are often searching for new ways to obtain value from your products, either through new use cases or through efficiencies that save them time on existing tasks. They're interested in new features, updates, continued education, and they enjoy learning about advanced features and functionality and how they can extract more value from the product. They're likely curious about how your product will grow with them to address their evolving needs, and they're likely to have opinions about new directions for the product, integrations, use cases, features, and they can be a valuable resource for that type of feedback. To deliver value to regulars, be proactive. Just because they're regulars doesn't mean they don't need your attention. Right? They can still get tripped up or forget how to perform tasks, especially if it's been a while since they've completed onboarding. So give them opt-in access to the same type of support that you provide to new users. But remember, regulars are productive and functioning users of your product, and whatever help you give them should be unobtrusive and should not get in the way of them doing what they do on a daily basis. To keep these users healthy and maintain their enthusiasm about your product, remind your regulars that they're important to you. Offer them exclusive looks at new product features. Spend adequate time gathering and understanding their feedback, and follow up with them to let them know that their feedback was used or how it was used to improve your product. Educational content is another great way to engage users at this stage of the journey. Try creating high-value content like customer-exclusive webinar with a best practices showcase. The story of another user's success. Case studies go a really long way, even at this stage. Or even just dive deeper into an advanced product feature. Don't bombard them with too much communication, but do check on them to make sure that they're having a delightful product experience and how you can make it even better. The goal here is more than just habitual usage or product adoption. It's emotional. To move users through the flywheel, you need them to adore your product. And that brings us to adore, the third goal of the flywheel. So getting users to adore your product can be kind of tricky. Users who don't use your product, people who adore your product, they don't just use it frequently. They enjoy using it. They look forward to accomplishing their tasks, and they have a real desire to expand into new use cases with your product. Once a user adores your product, they may take it in directions you never even expected. Right? These users are passionate, they're going to push the limits, and they're going to try to unlock new solutions and further ingrain your software into their workflows. These users are eager to provide feedback and insights. They're the folks that you want to consult about your near and long-term product roadmaps and get their feedback on. Getting users to adore your product requires providing them with a consistently delightful experience, both with your product and any human touch points they have along the way. And it requires establishing a two-way relationship between the customer and the company, wherein both sides are giving and receiving value from one another. Once users start to adore your product, they move into the champion segment, the final segment of the flywheel here. Once you're successful, these people are eagerly watching every move, right? They want more capabilities and more power from your product, not just because or because they necessarily require them, but because they love your product and they're actively invested in your success. If you were to shut your doors tomorrow, they would be devastated. That's the type of people we're talking about in the champion segment. These are the users that recommend your products to their colleagues, friends, social media followers. They've formed an emotional connection with your brand and your products. And at this point in the relationship, you're providing value outside of the job to be done. They may still require help, but it's usually because they're pushing your product to its limits or thinking about advanced use cases that require a depth of knowledge that some of your employees may not even have. So champions, they're usually actively participating in the future of your product. They want to, for sure. They're pushing the limits of your product and new use cases. They're NPS promoters, right? They're wearing their brand's t-shirt. These are the people that walk around with Appcues t-shirts on. And we love them. And we wear Appcues t-shirts. Champions, they enjoy feeling like a partner and a friend to your business. They want to actively participate in your future because they are invested in it. These folks have a lot of pride in their work that they're doing with your product and appreciate recognition for accomplishments and contributions. They want to feel like part of this. They're the first group to try new features and provide feedback. They're not only willing, but eager to participate in case studies, leave glowing product reviews, and even be a reference for prospective customers. Champions think your product is special. To deliver value to them, let them know the feeling is mutual. This is what I'm talking about with the two-way relationship, like feeling like they're part of it. Offer them swag, advanced guidance, power use case features, and first dibs at beta versions. And you can ask for things from these users in return, whether it's leaving a product review, completing a survey, collaborating on a case study, sharing your product with friends and colleagues. You've earned the right to ask for that. And the champions are the ones who won't hesitate to help you out. Right? You could even invite champions to join customer advisory board. Fly them out to a special location and meet with your team. Actively reach out to these people to hear about their successes and ask if you can share them with other customers or the prospects. Include your champions in the future of your company and make them feel special. Let them know that their feedback is really crucial to the continued success of your product. When thinking through the product-led growth flywheel, the goal at this point is clear. You want your champions to advocate for your product. And that's the final goal of the flywheel. So, advocacy is really what makes the product-led growth flywheel a flywheel. Advocacy, whether it's inviting other users to your product, evangelizing internally in their organization or externally to their peers, leaving reviews, etc. It all drives awareness and new evaluator interest in your product, completing the cycle and ultimately leading to compounding growth of your user base. It usually takes just a little nudge to get your champions to become advocates. They love your product, they want to see it succeed, but they may not just know or be inclined to take that step on their own. Give them an invitation to do so, right? It may actually make them feel special to be asked to do such a thing. Try asking them to participate in a case study about the impact your product had on their success, or leave a 5-star review on G2 Crowd and Capterra or other review sites like that. Advocacy, it can also come in the form of a private conversation between that user and your team. Champions may advocate for new features and creative solutions to a roadblock they're facing. And they do this because they're invested in the maturation of your product and want to see it involved with their needs. Third-party reviews and case studies from really successful users of your product are super powerful forms of social proof. And it fuels growth and attracts new evaluators. And not only that, but when your champions advocate for their own evolving needs, they can help you move your product in new directions and really stay ahead of the market. So, by getting your champions to advocate, you bring them even more evaluators into your product, and this is really the flywheel in full effect. So that's an overview of the framework itself, but I want to talk about some of the benefits real quick before we wrap up. So using this framework can also create cross-team alignment. It's really it's an all hands on deck for each team to contribute to the product experience and growing your business through your product. Sales and marketing typically own the evaluator to activate stage, right? Sometimes with the help of a dedicated growth, product, or customer success team member. In the beginner stage, you've got product, support, customer success commonly owning that. And they're going to be focused on driving the adoption of your product. Your product, marketing, customer success, support teams, they're most likely focused on nurturing regulars. And then lastly, customer success, marketing, product teams should really own encouraging champions to advocate for your product. So the flywheel creates an inherent shared language for all of these teams to use to discuss their ongoing efforts in creating growth of your business through your product. And that's just absolutely critical to this being successful. So what makes the flywheel even more powerful than the funnel? So the product becomes really a marketing channel to bring in new evaluators from champions. Team alignment is going to create a more frictionless experience for the user. And I think we're all here because we understand that user experience is absolutely critical to success these days. Remember, your users aren't just thinking, oh, I'm in a marketing funnel, now I'm in a sales funnel. They just think, great, that was an awesome experience across every interaction touch point I had. And the flywheel is a great framework for unifying. So, it's a new strategy to gain team alignment, grow your business. And like a good product process, we're iterating on it. So, share it with your team, give us feedback on how to improve it. This is not an Appcues thing. This is a product-led growth thing. And it's been a real crowdsourced effort to make this come together and start having a real impact for some of the early adopters of it. Want to let you know about one more thing. So just over a month ago, we launched this new resource called the Product-Led Growth Collective, and it's at product-led.org. It is basically a community of practitioners and thought leaders in product-led space. So you've got content from salespeople, customer success folks, marketing, product, growth, obviously. And all of these people are giving practical advice, really actionable things that you can do within your business, things that they've learned, opportunities, challenges that they've faced, etc. And it's all at productled.org, so I'd really encourage you to check it out. We also have, up in the top right, there's a subscribe button, a weekly newsletter that goes out. And we're really happy to be part of this community. Appcues is a product-led organization, and we've done a lot of things right, and we have a lot to learn, and just super excited to be part of that community. So please check it out if you do anything else today. All right. Thanks a lot. Take care, everybody.